My name's David Kerr. I'm dairy farming just outside Portlaoise, County Laois in the parish of Ballyfin. We're milking 145 cows and we have a small flock of rare breed sheep as well. It's a one-person operation with student help in the spring for about 10 weeks for calving. All replacements are contract reared in Kilkenny. A cross-bred herd is actually a through cross herd, a mixture of Holstein, Jersey and Norwegian red genetics. Kind of combining production, milk solids and health traits. We went for mixed breeds because of the research that was emerging from Moore Park about 20 years ago on crossing Holsteins with Jerseys. There was increased fertility, better milk composition and increased profitability. Over a period of time, issues started to develop about the quality of the calf, so we brought in Norwegian red genetics to solve that issue as well as improve the health traits. They've been breeding for resistance to mastitis and lameness for over 50 years, so the data is very reliable. People come here to visit a dairy farm and they keep asking, why the hell have you got some sheep? But the reason we have sheep is they're a really rare breed. They're actually Dorset Horns. I got them here as a kid. My father bought them for me over 40 years ago, and they're one of the rarest breeds of sheep in the world. They're one of the few sheep in the world that actually breed naturally out of season, so you can actually get 3 crops of lambs in 2 years if you don't take the ram away. So we keep about 20 ewes who sell a small number of breeding rams every year, and we keep most of the females. So you know, it's not all about income, but they pay their way. But it's nice to have them around the place. Okay, this is one of the whitethorn hedges that would have been planted in the late 80s. As I said, we had a lot of sheep at the time, so the hedge that was there at the time was absolutely porous. So we fenced it off and planted whitethorn quick. So now, 30 years later, it's actually a very dense hedgerow. This was actually trimmed last year, so there's probably less flowers on it we would have liked this year. So next year it should be back into full bloom. This is our oak plantation. There's 3 acres here that my father planted in 1989. There were no premium available at the time, but he said he'd go ahead and do it anyway. But it's developed quite nicely. We're actually at the stage now, it needs some sort of tinning, I think. A lot of things like ash and hazel have actually grown under it because there's so much more light compared to an evergreen plantation. But it's something for future generations. It won't even be in the following generation, somewhere a long way down the road. Nice spot on the farm to come and see, and it just is taking on a life of its own. Any amount of sapling, ash saplings growing here, you'd imagine potentially there's hundreds, maybe even thousands of them down here. You would hope that maybe there is some sort of a resistant gene or something that some of them will survive, so it'll be interesting to see how that develops. As I said previously, my father died in the middle of a full COVID lockdown, so we didn't have anything that you would associate with a normal funeral, especially in rural Ireland. So we decided to dig out a pond in his memory. It's something we had talked about while he was alive, without any degree of certainty, it has to be said. So some neighbours of mine and friends, the O'Neill boys next door and their uncle Dennis, helped me to they got local contractors, gave us heavy machinery free of charge, and we dug it out over the Maybank holiday weekend 3 years ago. So it's taken on a life of its own. The lake itself is just under an acre, and there's an island, and there's a couple of acres of ground around outside where we planted trees and a game crop for birds and things like that. So it's really, when you put a fence around something, you don't really have to do a whole lot. The whole thing takes on a life of its own. So as I said, we have plenty of ducks. We have swans there during the winter. There's herons. There's baby ducklings over there at the moment. We get a lot of things like migratory teal in the winter when the weather is cold. All the usual birds that you here in the Irish countryside. We picked up curlew down here one day, lapwings, and there's actually a little a ringed plover hanging around here. I'm not sure he's actually really he's more of a seabird. There are some brown trout in it. There's a pipe going in and out, and we have a grill covering the pipe just to prevent mink and things like that coming in. So there's a fence all around it to protect ground nesting birds, but there are trout in it. They've come in through the grill, small trout, and they're developing. You see them jumping there some evenings. We dug out some small ponds around the outside because with the fact that there's fish in the lake, they would be eating the frog spawn, so it wasn't a great spot for amphibians. So we dug out a couple of smaller ponds around the outside where frogs can spawn and like that. Something involving water is really, really good, because you see something happen straight. A small little pond, you know, the size of a tennis court or half the size of a tennis court, will actually, things will happen quite quickly, and it's probably the biggest return on the work you'll do is actually something involving water. Download the Merlin app online and listen to the birds that are on your farm, and see actually who's living on your farm, and maybe you can improve the habitats over time.